What's up, everyone? Oishi here, and we're going to talk about the whole concept of destiny. Now, I was thinking about destiny a few days ago, just thinking about where we go from one place to another. And there's always the journey and the destination. People are always like it's about the journey, not the destination. It's about the destination, not the journey. But the whole concept of destiny is that you'll eventually reach your destination, no matter what journey you take. Now, people argue that free will exists. People argue that it's not. Now, in terms of that, of course, you do have the free will to go one way or another, but based on my own beliefs, I do believe that predeterminism does hold sway over this. The thing is that destiny, you don't know what your destiny is. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You don't know what will happen in the very end. You don't know what's going to happen while you get there. It's like trying to get directions. You end up going to this destination. You're just going Google Maps, for example. You're trying to get to this house. You just go one way or the other. It offers multiple routes. Usually it's three, of course, but it allows you to choose a route. Now, take it from like a perspective of God. An omnipotent being, for example, knows exactly what you're going to do, exactly how you're going to do it, and everything. Knows exactly every single variable, stuff that we cannot map out. In that instance, they know exactly where you're going to go, and no matter what you do, eventually you're going to reach this point. And it's true. Take Star Wars, for example. Anakin Skywalker, he knew that he was going to bring balance to the Force. The others knew he was going to bring balance to the Force. And like Master Yoda said, a prophecy that misread could have been. Hmm. I love his backwards speech. Anyways, the thing about that is, like they said, it's like they don't know how it's going to happen. They know it's going to happen. So, it took an entire Jedi Order to fall in order for that to happen. And like they said, it's going to bring balance. And people forget the whole concept that balance is balance of good and evil. And people forget that. And also, that's the reason why people don't like the Jedi or the Sith. But I'm on Team Sith because they are awesome. But Destiny, it's like fulfill your destiny, strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete. It's like Luke's destiny was not to destroy the Emperor, it was Vader's. Anakin Skywalker's, the chosen one, brings balance to the Force, and he does that. But unfortunately, it doesn't really matter because, we've seen Rise of Skywalker and it blows that out of the water. But we don't care about that, right? But the thing about Destiny is that you're eventually going to reach it. It doesn't matter what path you're going to take. Now, Destiny, you could end up doing something big. You could end up doing something small. You could end up like dying alone or something. Sorry to put a damper on things, but it's true. Some things happen, some things don't. Everyone's destiny is different. And, everyone takes a path. People take different paths. Every single choice you make, every decision leads to your destiny eventually. But, you know, who knows? But if you're a Christian and you believe in God, well, I mean, both work hand in hand. Like in that in that concept, God knows exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and things like that. So basically, it's already predetermined. And the whole thing is that it's all about leading you towards your destiny. Every single choice you make, every decision you make, every choice you make, it all goes that way. You could become some great villainous enemy. You could become famous. You could just live a normal life. And there's nothing wrong with living a normal life, living in peace or being busy. It's like Shakespeare said, great some men are born great, some achieve greatness, and greatness is thrust upon them. Some people are made to be great. Some people are able to do it on their own, and some have it just put upon them, and it's the ultimate test. It's like Night at the Museum, he uses the same quote, and it's like you're running a museum with things coming to life. It's like, what do you do? And that's how life is, it's like sometimes you have to wing it. You don't really know what's going to happen. That's why you make your own choices, and it's trial and error. And some people see that as a good thing. Some people see it as a bad thing. When people see mistakes, people see it as a means of learning. Some people see it as something that you shouldn't be doing, and they try to prevent you from making mistakes in the first place. And it's a very bad thing. But it's all about history. You see what people do, you see them make mistakes, and you try to avoid them. We've seen entire wars waged over religion. We've seen them waged over resources, land, because I'm whiter than you. In this case, I don't feel as white, but I'm surprisingly white, so I'm so pale. I don't really like sunlight, so I'm not that tanned anymore and all that. But it's just people fight over these things, and people don't realize why they're fighting over this. It's like some people are naturally evil, some people are born into suffering and are evil as a result of that. People forget that. And that's why people tend to go down the dark path. Like the Joker, for example, it's like people don't see what it's like for him to live. We do, and that's the lucky thing for us. We're the audience and all. But it's like he says, it's like you don't know what it's like to be that guy, what it's like to live on the streets. People are not decent anymore. They're no longer civilized. And people expect us to act like we're normal even though we're not. It's not decent. It's not polite. And people see that, and it's like it enrages them because what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to like lie down and get beaten. It's like you fight back. I mean, I'm not inspiring violence or anything, but it's like you always fight back. I mean, like bullies, for example, it's like forget the whole concept of rules. It's like, oh, you're not supposed to fight and things like that. It's like it's true, fighting leads to violence and leads to more violence, but it doesn't mean you should take violence yourself. You shouldn't be able to take your anger and bottle it deep down because eventually it will lash out at people. It will poison you, and people forget that. And I think I'm going off track. But every single decision, it leads to where it is, and the good things and the bad things, it leads you to something good, it leads you to something bad. It's all about the end result. The past is the past, and it's a map. And the present and the future, it's all you. You just keep making it day after day, week after week, all the way until you die, you know? And it's amazing. It's like you've got years and years and years to decide, and you have days, seconds. It's like every single second you want to make it as productive as possible. I mean, for myself, for example, it's like I live in fear. I procrastinate, and it's because I'm afraid. People are afraid to go out and do things. People are afraid to fail. And when you're afraid to fail, you don't try, and when you don't try, you give up, and when you give up, then it's over. It's truly over. And life is, in a way, it's like a game. It's like you succeed or you fail, but it kind of, I mean, it's really up to you. But in terms of this game of life, the end game is to die. And it's all about getting the most points. It's trying to get the high score. And that's how life is. It's like thinking about it like that. It's like you want to make the most of it. It's like, what do you consider valuable? What do you consider meaningful? And it's like you're playing different kinds of games based on the same principle. Life. How much value have you put into it? How much value is your life worth? In a way. I mean, you don't want to you could put it in references in relationship to money, like, oh, I'm worth this much. Like Elon Musk, for example. It's like he's worth a ton. He's worth billions and billions. You can consider it in terms of power. You go all Frank Underwood in Congress and like, that's right. Worked my way up, and I'm President of the United States. All I wanted was to be Secretary of State. That's all. And look at me. Look where I am now. President of the United States of America. And you can go along that route to power. You know, you could go along in terms of family. It's the family name that lives on. It's all that ever lives on. You know, you can see it in all kinds of ways. What do you value? What do you want out of life? Life is not about the destination. It's about the journey. And, it's like that's practically what the meaning of life is, like going along the way, just trying to succeed. In my opinion, the meaning of life is to reach as close to perfection as possible. Sorry, my speech. But to reach perfection, it's like you're trying to reach it as much as possible. And from a Christian sense, you're not going to reach it. And even then, it's like you're still not going to reach it. But the way I see it, and I include Christianity in that sense, is like you're trying to get to heaven. And to get to heaven, it's not like, it's not like heaven is earned or anything, but the whole concept is eternal life is a gift. And to gain that gift in a way, you have to like dedicate your life to it. And the way I see it is like it's a gift, but you have to dedicate your entire life to getting into heaven, you know. And you're doing that by doing good works. You're doing them in the name of the Lord, and you're trying to reach it. It's like mathematics, it's like it's like a rational function. It goes all the way up to an asymptote. An asymptote is practically the asymptote in our lives is practically perfection. You're never going to reach it in your physical form, but once you reach your spiritual form, then you can truly reach it because you don't need to eat, you don't need to suffer or anything like that. Your physical body is no longer there. It's your spiritual body, your soul. And what your soul is worth is all up to you. But long story short, that's kind of what life is. It's up to you what you want to get. It's up to you where you want to go. Destiny is predetermined. Life, you will eventually reach a certain point, and that's what it is. Some people fulfill their destiny and become what they want to be. Some people don't. It's all about reaching that, and every second of our lives should be dedicated to reaching that. Well, that's all I really want to talk about. It's been fun, and I'll be doing more videos. I'm going to go into shows like Adventure Time. I'm going to go into games like Baldur's Gate, maybe some Dota and do some raging and talk about life advice and other things. So leave a like, subscribe, and, we'll go on a journey through life. Thank you.